What's up, guys? It's Will back again, and today I'm here to actually do a spoiler review of The Last of Us Part 2. In this review, I'm going completely no script, nothing to go off of. I'm just going to go off my opinions, my perspective. It's just going to be me venting in a kind of way. It's just going to be almost like a therapy-like session for this type of video. So hopefully you like that, but it is going to be a spoiler review. So just do want to make clear that if you haven't played the game or haven't read the leaks for that matter, and you don't want anything about The Last of Us Part 2 spoiled for you, then definitely don't watch this video until you're ready to cross that bridge. Because that's going to be really important. I'm going to go into a lot of different things in this video, and I really do not want that on my contents. I don't want to have me have spoiled the game for you if you haven't experienced it yet and you're planning to. But if you haven't experienced it and you don't want to, you just want to hear my thoughts on the game either way, we're going to do that. So if you have played the game, even better. So let me just cut straight to the point here. What do I think about The Last of Us Part 2? Honestly, I just finished the game. Okay, let me start by saying this. No one wanted to love this game more than me. Like, nobody. If you guys know me by now, if not, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Happy to have you, so thank you for stopping by. Hopefully you stay. The first Last of Us game, if you've been around, you know, and if not, I'll tell you guys now. It is my favorite piece of entertainment ever. It's not even close. The first Last of Us game I've played through almost 20 times now. Just think about that. I've played the entire game almost 20 times in completion, in its entirety. I even played one time on Grounded, and that's hell because there's no ammo anywhere. Everything's difficult. You have very little health and supplies. It's just very hard. I just wanted to do it to feel like I achieved something in life. So I played that game so many times because the story hit me so hard. The first story just connected with me with Joel and Ellie's story. Everything about it was paced super well. It's fun. It's exciting. It's a great world. It's very expansive. All the characters are great, supporting, lead, otherwise. It's great. So needless to say, I went into The Last of Us Part 2 with extremely high expectations because the first game is a masterpiece in my opinion and my favorite piece of entertainment ever. Not even close. Like I said, played it so many times, love it. So no one wanted to love this game more than me. So I was so excited for it. What I did, I actually pre-ordered the Ellie edition, which was the most expensive edition you could get. Comes with a lot of extras like Ellie's backpack, a vinyl record, a statue, and a bunch of steelbook, a bunch of other stuff. Because I had to get that. I bought 2 statues. I bought all the merch for this game because I love it. And I was just so positive it was going to be good, right? I was positive it was going to be good. There was no doubt in my mind that it was going to be. And no one wanted to love this game more than me. Sadly, I walked out disappointed. I really did. And it's so tough for me to even talk about because, like I said, I wanted this game to be so good and so badly, and it just wasn't. But I have to be honest and objective with myself and be, introspective and say, like, hey, I'm not going to say I like something. I'm not going to convince myself to like something if I didn't really like it that much. But what I do want to say, I think there's a lot of negativity going around with this game right now, and I think it's kind of been extreme on both sides, in my opinion. So the side that loves it say, and what I'm gonna do here in this video, like the side that loves it says that a lot of people are saying, at least not everybody, but a lot of people are saying you don't understand what they were going for, or you are a bigot possibly, you don't like female leads, or you don't like, the sexuality of the characters, or just things like that. That's a very small population. We'll start with that in the sense that I think we need to be respectful of each other on both sides. Like whether you feel that, people who like the game are wrong or don't like the game are wrong, that's great. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Not everyone has to agree on everything. So what I'll say is, I think we need to be respectful on both sides. So whether it's to Neil Druckmann or Neil Druckmann to us or the other fans, the critics to us, there's a divide right now. And I think that divide needs to be narrowed because we're all here to enjoy the same things. We can disagree. And sadly, we have a Last Jedi 2.0 on our hands. That's really what this is. This is an extremely divisive game for a lot of different reasons. But The Last Jedi was divisive in the same ways. It took expectations and deliberately subverted them to try to create a narrative that's creative and new and exciting, but in the process disappoints a lot of fans and pisses off a lot of fans. So for me, it's interesting because people I know, family and friends were texting me how's the game? Because they knew I was so hyped for it. I was ready to get Ellie's tattoo. I still might, which I'll go into. But I was ready to get the tattoo. I got all these statues. They know how much I love the first game. And at first I was like, all right, I'm not really feeling it too much. Not really liking it that much. But as it went on, I was like, okay, it's getting amazing. It's getting amazing. Okay, now I don't like it again. Okay, it's getting pretty good. Now I don't like it. And it went back and forth the whole time. And by the end of it, the ending just was so unsatisfying to me that I just felt empty at it. You know what I mean? And not in a good way. Not a good type of empty. Like when the end of the first game, you feel a little bit empty because you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen with these characters? What's going to happen to Joe and Ellie's relationship? It's ambiguous, but it felt satisfying as a journey. The characters go through a journey together. They evolve, they change, they develop. I don't think you can say that for this game. I don't think you can say that for The Last of Us Part 2 because I feel like there's always a balance because you always have to balance what the fans are expecting and what they want versus what the artist wants and what they wanted, the story they want to tell. The problem is those two are at such a divide right now because a lot of people really like the game in its bold direction. I think it is a bold, creative direction, and I am, it's admirable that they wanted to take things in a different direction and say like, hey, this is bold, this is risky, let's try it. But it just didn't work. It didn't work for a lot of different reasons. And like I said, there are going to be spoilers in this video, so let's start with the biggest reason for me this game did not work at the level I wanted to. And again, I want to reiterate, I don't think this is an awful trash game. I think this is an okay at best game that had way higher expectations than that. So because of that, we're judging it more harshly. But it's definitely not that good. It's definitely not a Game of the Year contender, not even close. It's not in the same ballpark as Final Fantasy VII Remake, or God of War, or Spider-Man, or the first Last of Us, that's for damn sure. So it's not even in the same ballpark as those stories, and the reason it's not is because the story. The story is a major letdown. And it's not the gameplay. The gameplay is fantastic. The environments are beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen a better looking, more detailed, and crisply developed game. And the gameplay, it improved on the first one in a lot of different ways. The combat was a little bit better. You had different combat skills. You have explosive arrows and different other things. And the combat system was evolved. The AI was much better in this game. The people had names, so you felt the weight of what you were doing. The dogs, killing them was not fun at all. And I never wanted to do it, but I had to in a lot of situations as Ellie. But like I said, the biggest problem for me was the story. And like I said, the story to me was this problem for this game because... And the biggest thing is what everyone is saying, Joel. Joel is the biggest problem with this story because, and I like I said, I want to be respectful about this because I don't want to say Neil Druckmann or Naughty Dog had an agenda and they did this because they were trying to do X, Y, and Z politically. I'm going to have more respect for Neil Druckmann for that, and I'm also going to request more respect from other people that say that I or anyone else don't like this game because I disagree with that agenda, perceived or otherwise. I don't think that agenda really influenced the game too much, in my opinion. What I think happened was Neil Druckmann really desperately wanted to make Ellie the lead of this game, which I think is not a bad idea in concept. I love Ellie. A lot of people love Ellie. She's a fantastic character. Her and Joel are two of my favorite characters of all time. But the treatment of Joel, to me, I felt the treatment of Joel was incredibly disrespectful. And just because... I get it. So, I get the fact that we live in a harsh world. We live in a harsh world in The Last of Us, right? The Last of Us is a very harsh, cold world. Your ticket could be punched at any moment because it's brutal. People kill each other all the time. Things happen. But it's not satisfying storytelling to do that. And that's there are examples where it does work in service of the story, right? So, the problem is with Joel... He is the main character of the first game. Him and Ellie are co-leads, but Joel is the one you play as primarily, so he's primarily the protagonist. So it just seems very forced, for one, out of character for Joel to do what he did. First off, he saves Abby, which, good. Joel might do something like that, but also in the first game, he's not really prone to do things like that, especially not for someone he doesn't really know. If it's Ellie, that's another story. But for a stranger, maybe. He would definitely help her, I think, but I don't think he would definitely go out of his way to do it. And the fact that he and Tommy walk into this group of strangers, wherever they're holding up in this cabin nearby, they ask no questions. They readily give away their names, their location, their everything. They act really out of character. These are guys that are seasoned, hardened veterans of this world, of this brutal world. They would never do something like that. In my opinion, based on, I get the argument is 5 years have passed. They've been comfortable and conditioned differently. Joel is incredibly witty. He picked up on an ambush before it even happened. He is very, very smart and intelligent because he has experience with this world. He understands how things work. He understands the lengths people will go to survive, what they will do to trick you. he would never find himself in that situation where he would just walk in unarmed into a group of strangers with weapons everywhere that have him surrounded. He would never be that trusting, not with strangers. And the only reason that happened is as a plot convenience to start the kickstart the revenge mission. That's it. So I mean, it doesn't work. I think, if you have to take Joel out of this game, if you have to kill Joel, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. The wrong way is what happened, because he dies way too early for it to really feel that impactful or matter that much, especially considering the direction they choose to go. If the game had followed Ellie the whole game, and maybe it might have worked a little bit better, but the fact that you're following Abby, Joel's killer, is not going to work for most fans. Fans are way too connected to Joel. No matter what he did to Abby, the fact that she killed Joel, for most fans, not everybody, but for most, you're never going to get empathy from them for Abby. It's not going to happen, because killing Joel is irredeemable for a lot of people, for myself included. What he did to save Ellie, I personally agree with. A lot of people don't, saving the world, whatever, but I think he made the right call, because I don't trust the Fireflies. I never did. And, I feel like he made the call that was the most human, and I agree with it. I would have done the same. Like I said, first time I went through the game and I was going through it, I didn't hesitate at all. I went in, the doctors, even the nurses, I didn't hesitate. I saved Ellie. I was in it. I was like, I'm in this. So I was on board with Joel's decision. But the problem is, trying to empathize and humanize Abby, it's just never going to work. People don't want to play as Abby, because the character of Abby is irredeemable at the point she tortures and murders Joel. Joel is too important of a character to people and too beloved of a character to just have a new character murder him and then have people want to play as that character. It's not a good strategy. And as hard as the game tries to humanize her, it never quite works. It never quite works ever. And, I found myself a lot of times I was playing as Abby the problem is the whole second half of the game for the most part. And then eventually you run into Ellie as Abby and you're fighting Ellie. I would mess up and Ellie would kill me. And every time I was like, good. I was happy about it. I was like, good, Abby deserves this. So, I mean, every time I was wanting Ellie to kill me, I was like, good. And then there's so much to get into with this game. Hopefully we have, I'm trying to make the video not too long, but there's so much to get into with this game. And I feel like Abby is just she's very well voice acted. She's very well acted, mocapped, voice acted, whatever. But she's not as hard as the game tries to make her a likable and human and empathetic character. It just doesn't land. It doesn't, for me at least. It didn't ever. She did some good things every now and then, but the fact that she goes to the lengths she does to torture Joel, to kill Joel in front of his daughter, basically, and then to basically do nothing else about it. I mean, everyone in this world is brutal, but I feel like Abby is especially brutal. She's especially brutal. And, the fact that it's Joel, we have such an emotional connection to Joel. You can't just have a character kill him and then us be like, well, maybe she had a point. Not really, because we're too connected to Joel. Even if logically she had a point, it's not going to work emotionally. It's not going to land, because people are way too emotionally invested in Joel after that first game. So killing him, it didn't ever work. I never wanted to play as Abby. And so a lot of the scenes with her, there's some amazing scenes that take place with Abby, some amazing acting, some amazing spectacle scenes, like the scene with her and Lev where they're riding through with the war going on at the end of the game. That seems phenomenally put together. But in the end, it feels weightless. It feels pointless, especially with what happens in the end. The fact that Ellie at the end spares Abby is, in my point of view, utterly ridiculous. Because it's the least satisfying storytelling you could have possibly given us. And the problem is, it's just, I get the point. It's revenge. It's not supposed to be satisfying. It's saying oh, revenge is bad. It's not satisfying. It doesn't really give you what you want. Vengeance doesn't give you what you want. I get that. But this is also a story. It's a story where people are invested emotionally. You have to have a payoff, a satisfying payoff. Otherwise, there's no point. There's nothing. The story feels like it just went in circles. Because okay, Abby seemed to get everything she wanted for the most part. She got her revenge. And she got revenge on Ellie too, for the most part. She bit her fingers off. And the fact that ultimately Ellie does not simply not get revenge, she frees Abby. She does not only not get revenge on Abby, she frees her and lets her go. And then Abby gets to just live her life, and Ellie can't even play guitar because she doesn't have her two fingers. And so she can't even live with that memory of Joel because she can't even play guitar anymore. I don't know. I'm very frustrated with it because I just feel like this game had so much potential and there were so many ways you could have taken this game. And I feel like this was probably the least satisfying way you could have done it. And I'm frustrated with that because I feel like every single aspect of this game, besides the story, is fantastic. The gameplay is amazing. The graphics are amazing. The acting is phenomenal. All the characters are super well rendered. The graphics, that ties into the graphics, but still, everything about that is amazing. And there are some amazing scenes. Some of the scenes with Joel and Ellie are fantastic. And the problem is, that's what we wanted. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, there are right ways and wrong ways to take out Joel. A right way possibly could have been Joel goes on some mission with Ellie, whether it be revenge on Abby for killing someone or doing something. They go on a mission together. Joel eventually, near the end of the game, might die sacrificing himself for Ellie. He might jump in front of a bullet or do something else where it's satisfying, where you feel what he did for Ellie, right? This game, Ellie's not even really wanting much to do with Joel, and then he just gets hit in the head with a golf club, and that's it, at 15 minutes into the game. I mean, it's very unsatisfying, and I feel like it's disrespectful to the character of Joel, and also, in my opinion, a little bit disrespectful to the fans that have invested so much in this character and in this game. I get it. An artist has the right to tell whatever story that they want to. It's their story. But you don't want to cater. You don't want to just give all fan service. Say, well, the fans want this, we better write this story. The fans want that, we write that. You got to find that balance. But I feel like the pendulum swung way far in the other direction. It swung in the direction of, let's try to be creative and as artistic as possible and not even think about what the fans want at all or what people actually want A Last of Us 2 for. I mean, the problem is, if this were an individual IP and not The Last of Us 2, I think this probably would have been a better received game because there's no expectation for it. Or, hear me out on this one, or you make A Last of Us 2, you take Ellie out of it entirely and make this whole new story with Abby and whoever else and don't have her kill Joel and all that, and then go a different direction. But you kind of can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be like, let's have Joel and Ellie, and let's also have this other character who we don't care about and that we're trying to care about. But it's like two separate storylines that don't feel like they ever really mean much. I mean, even in this game, I feel like Ellie didn't even have that much development. I mean, Ellie is for the most part a very similar character to who she was at the beginning of the game to the end of the game. I mean, what personality growth does she ultimately undergo? The fact that she doesn't get the revenge in the end, I mean, that's to me is very un-Ellie-ish. I mean, there's just so many things I think that feel out of character for these characters. Their actions aren't consistent with what happened in the first game. I get it, it's 5 years, they're different, but they're not that different. They're not dumber. They're not completely changed in personality. And that's the problem. I feel like it's inconsistent to drive the narrative in a certain direction. And it's contrived. And that's how it comes across. So it's just a matter of I feel like it's very unsatisfying. And, I don't think I've ever been, and that's why I might come across as frustrated. I don't think I've ever been more disappointed from something, from anything. Because like I said, I was so positive this game was going to be fantastic. And it just, also, I mean, you also have to factor in that, in my opinion, I think the advertising and the marketing was pretty misleading. I mean, I'm not going to lie about that. I think it was pretty misleading. I think, all trailers do this to some extent. Marvel does this. They edit footage. They change backgrounds. They do that. But some of this stuff that went on was very misleading. And I think partially that's the problem. Because people were a little bit sold. I get this was going to always be an Ellie game. But people were a little bit sold that Joel was at least going to be part of the journey. Part of it, at least. He's not really. I mean, everything takes place via flashbacks. So, everything with Joel is a flashback except his murder. And you play as Joel for 5 minutes riding a horse in the beginning of the game. That's it. It's just, I have no problem making Ellie the lead, playing as Ellie, but Joel should be a part of this journey. I mean, in some fashion, in some capacity, but he's really not. I mean, everything is told in flashbacks, but at that point, those flashbacks were the best part of the game in Last of Us 2. I mean, like, watching Joel and Ellie's relationship 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even a month ago or a day before he got killed, like that, watching the development of their relationship was what people kind of wanted out of this game. You know, even if it takes a backstage later in the game, but there has to be an element of it. And the fact that their flashbacks isn't as helpful, and it isn't as entertaining or emotionally impactful. Those scenes were the best. And the problem is you're watching them and you're like, well, Joel's dead now, so this is as much as we're getting of Joel. I just feel like I said, to me it was very disrespectful to what the fans emotionally invested in this game. And to me, like I said, it drives forward a typical revenge plot that's very standard and run of the mill. The first Last of Us game had a lot of things that were very unique about it. It had a very compelling story about a man with a second chance, about a girl with a rare, something special and unique about her being immune, the only one that we know about. It was just a very interesting story. In this game, the immunity thing is like nothing basically. And then Ellie's just on this typical revenge plot. And then the thing here too also, the pacing, guys, I have no idea what they were thinking. I mean, I just don't understand that at all. I get right now that storytellers are very fascinated with non-linear storytelling, but it's a mess. I mean, like, there's no way around it. I mean, like, you're following Ellie for half the game. You get to a very climactic point in the game where Ellie and Abby have a showdown. Ellie kills Jesse, which is crazy and, very, very crazy, and was very cinematic. It was interesting. And then she's like, okay, she's about to kill Tommy, and Ellie steps in. And then, after that, it's like, let's cut away for 12 hours to Abby. It's just like, I don't understand why they did that at all. I mean, it's like, I just don't understand why they felt that was a good idea. It's like, yeah, we're going to spend every second I was with Abby. Some of it I enjoyed. Some of it was good. Some of the gameplay was good. But every second with Abby, I was like, am I almost done this yet? Can I get back to the main storyline? Can I get back to Ellie and Abby and the conflict? Because that's where I was actually hooked. I was like, okay, let's get this revenge plot going. If this is what we're going to go with, let's go with it. But then right when they get you where you're interested and invested, they go 10 hours away to Abby. And you're playing all these flashback scenes. Like, you cut away from the most climactic point where I'm invested. And now I'm like, I can't get away from Abby fast enough to get back to the main story. Like, she was not put into position to succeed, killing Joel off the bat, and then using her as a device to cut away to a second character in her away from Ellie. Like, that's why I know the critics were told not to show the second half of the game, because they didn't want Abby to be shown in the gameplay, right? Because they didn't want people to know that. I don't know why they thought people would embrace that. I mean, like, why would I want to play? Like, I get you trying to humanize you. You're trying to make her so, like, oh, everyone has a story. Everyone has a reason for what they're doing. They're not that different. But it's Joel. Like, we're never going to be on board with that. I mean, it's just not going to happen. There's no reason to say, like, Abby did anything particularly good. I mean, she saved Yara and Lev, which is good. I really like their characters. They were pretty interesting. But, I mean, that's the most they try to do to humanize her. Like, okay, so she did one thing. She was about to slit a pregnant woman's throat, no problem. She had no second thoughts about it until Lev stepped in and said, hey, don't do that. And she said, okay, maybe you're right. Like, Abby is not a good person. I get no one's a quote-unquote good person in this game, in this world, but she's particularly not. I mean, there's nothing about her that's really all that likable. I mean, like, she does some things here and there, and I feel bad saying that because I feel like, she's very well acted and she's performed super well, and they tried to make her character interesting and likable, but she's just not. She's just not. I mean, and another thing too, this is a separate thing, but I just wasn't quite feeling the connection between Dina and Ellie. I feel like the game wanted me to care about that way more than I did. And like I said, we have to be respectful of each other. The people that say that, it's not because they don't aren't for gay rights. They're not for equality and a relationship like that. It makes sense for Ellie's character to be gay because she was in Left Behind. And, there's no problem with that. I have no problem with that. I feel like their connection, the chemistry is just, it doesn't feel earned. Nothing about their relationship feels earned. I had a very difficult time connecting with those two. I feel like the game got a lot better when Dina was actually pregnant and not with Ellie. And Ellie was on her own traveling. I felt I was way more invested in the game. So that tells you something, that relationship just didn't quite do it for me. I didn't feel like it was earned. I didn't feel a connection. I didn't feel like it really went anywhere. And then by the end of it, it's like, okay, now Ellie's all alone again. This is great. It's a very satisfying ending. Like, I get it's not supposed to be satisfying. Again, it's revenge plot, it's vengeance, whatever. But there's just, but like I said, there are some great moments. Some of the scenes are super cinematic. Some of the deaths are crazy. I love Tommy's role in it for the most part. I love that Tommy's in it at all. He probably should have been in it more. And I love that he got to play an important role in this game. But ultimately, this pacing is all over the place. It is a very sloppily, just unsatisfyingly told story that just, there are really good moments to it. I feel like this is a 6 or 7 out of 10 game. Like I said, if this had been a brand new IP, I probably would have liked it more. But if it's with expectations of The Last of Us, the standards of The Last of Us, what this previous story had established, I feel like this is a major letdown. So, it just is what it is, right? It is what it is. Extremely disappointing. I still may end up getting the Ellie tattoo because I really like the look of it, and I still love Ellie. I think she's a great character, and if anything, I feel like it will remind me of my love for the first game. I don't want it to signify, any love for the second game because I don't love the second game. I feel like it's okay. I don't feel like I hate it. I don't feel like, I may sound like I do. I hate aspects of the story. I hate the direction they went with the story to some extent, but I feel like there are some good things they did. And I feel like ultimately the gameplay, it's a crazy achievement in terms of game making. It's a, awesome technical masterpiece in that sense. It's a masterpiece in the sense of the gameplay side. Like, the gameplay is simplistic, but the graphics are insane. The acting, the performance is very cinematic. It's a very well technically made game, but the story is the biggest letdown by far. And in this type of game, the story is the most important thing. It is for a game like The Last of Us. So it just is. And it was a letdown. So make sure to let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. If you like the game, that's great. I'm so happy for you. I'm really, really happy that you like it. I wish I liked it more. Like I said, for me, it's like a 6 or 7. That's crazy because The Last of Us 2 was like a 50 out of 10 for me. Like, I love that game. So, or Last of Us 1 rather. So, it doesn't taint my experience with the first game. I still love it. I can just feel like the first game is perfect, but the second game is not. So, like I said, a lot of people will feel differently, but like I said, I'm not going to get into agendas and politics because that's not what this channel is about. I'm about reviewing games and movies. I just wanted to give a spoiler discussion here and talk about my thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2. So, again, disappointed with it, but hey, that's life. Things happen. This is not a God of War or Final Fantasy VII or Spider-Man or Last of Us 1. Or, to me, I love Infamous Second Son more than most people. A lot of people think that game is pretty good. I'm in love with that game. I think it's fantastic. It's definitely not an Uncharted 4. So, it is what it is at this point. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below about The Last of Us Part 2. Hopefully you liked it more than me. If not, then we can discuss it. Just let me know. And other than that, be on the lookout. I have some other videos coming to you guys soon. I'm actually going to review Midnight Cowboy. That was a request I got. So I watched that a little while back. I've been so busy with schoolwork. It's been hard to keep up with everything. But now got that done, I think. So I'm ready to, make a bunch of videos. I got some collectible reviews as well. So those will be coming. Some Kylo Ren and other stuff like that. So if you guys like that, of course, stick around for that. And of course, there'll be the movie reviews and all that stuff too. But in the meantime, this is WillFoxification signing off, and I will definitely see you guys in the next video.